And if and when they come to that realization, you talk about price increases in precious metals.
Hey everybody, it's Silver Seeker and welcome back. Today we have the second part of our interview with Mike from River City Coin and Jewelry. Now between me and you, this is my favorite of the two parts, but it took me a lot of time to edit the audio because as I said in the first video, and by the way, if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link in the description below. I had to spend a lot of time getting the audio serviceable because when I recorded it, I had no idea that the gain was all the way up and everything was completely blown out. So I spent a lot of time making that audio serviceable so I could share the interview with you guys. And this second part of the interview is definitely my favorite. So we are going to get into it, but really quick before we do, don't forget that we are almost to 100,000 subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, help us out by hitting that sub button because when we get there, we're going to have our biggest silver giveaway ever. And we just now added some new stuff to it. And also really quick, take a look at these awesome two new silver coin releases from our sponsor, SD Bullion, the 2022 1 ounce silver Sword of Truth and the 2022 1 ounce silver Ram of Calvary. Now these have a limited mintage of just 10,000 and are absolutely gorgeous. But what is even cooler is that the premium is quite low. It's under $4 an ounce over spot, way cheaper than Silver Eagles with a much lower mintage of just 10,000 each. If you guys want to know more about those, I'll put a link for them in the description below. Let's get to the interview.
So if we were to get back to bartering on silver and gold, and I'm not saying that's going to happen in our lifetime, but if we were to get there, that's not going to be the only thing that's important. What else would you tell people to consider?
Oh, well, whiskey, cigarettes, ammunition. I mean, that would be, you know, that's one thing that you could barter silver and gold for is those three items right there, you know, or you can use them to barter for silver and gold too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you believe people should be at least learning some sort of survival skills as well? You know, basic medical, you know, first aid, stuff like that?
Yeah,
or will it even matter?
It goes without saying. Well, you know, that's what I'm thinking, you know, I mean, it's just hard to know. I mean, a person should educate themselves about every aspect of life and prepare for, you know, like, hell, if we had an earthquake here in the Stu-Mantor fault line, and the bridges got knocked down, the roads got knocked out. Well, we would be out of food here within a couple of weeks. And if the power is not on, you know, how are you going to buy anything? You know, I mean, and you know that's one reason I sell in Cape Girardeau because you can walk a mile out of town in any direction, and you're in farm country. You know, cows, pigs, chickens, eggs, wheat, corn, flour. You know, I mean, it's all available close by. If you've got something you can barter with to pay for it. And historically, your cigarettes and whiskey and gold and silver has been your best barter items for sure.
You know, you mentioned the food shortages. If we ever had an issue like that, I think we have a generation of people, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, but I think we have a generation of people that don't really realize what it takes to get, you know, there was a Twitter post a couple of years ago that I saw, it was so comical to me. It was a guy, you know, probably from California or New York or whatever, and he was flying over Central America, and he looked down and he could see all the, you know, different, you know, squared out farmland. Yeah. And he took a picture of it and he posted it on Twitter. He goes, I don't know why the land looks like this, but it's pretty cool, isn't it? Had no clue that's where all the food that he's eating is coming from.
Well, you know, I blame that on the public educational system. It's broken down, and they don't want to educate the populace because educated populace is much more difficult to control. And like these millennials, especially, they don't have a clue where corn comes from, or you know what they think is, you know, it's just ridiculous. You know, really, I mean.
Now, to be fair, I'm technically a millennial, so it's not all of
it. Well, no, that's true. That's true. Thank God for that. Thank God. I mean, I love to meet millennials that are that mindset, you know, that have some common sense. But so many of them are just, you know, just out there. And that's not their fault. It's their educational system.
Yeah, it really isn't their fault, but it is crazy. I mean, when we hit the beginning of the pandemic and you started to see all the stuff fly off the shelves, I mean, I don't think people realize that, like, for example, if we stopped having truckers, it would take a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before there was nothing.
Rail strikes too, you know what I mean? It's just...
And they keep wanting to ban oil. It's
like ridiculous.
How is that going to happen? I mean, I drive an EV, but I am not, you know, one of the crazy people that, I mean, I absolutely recognize how important it is, and absolutely should we not...
I could see where we could eventually evolve into something other than oil and gas, but we can't do it overnight. You know?
Absolutely not.
there's no way. I mean, can you imagine getting on a 747 that's battery powered?
No thanks. No thanks. I'm good. You do that. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, and like it's kind of like these batteries that are necessary to all this stuff is made of a lot of rare earth elements and rare minerals.
Yeah.
And like the carbon dioxide is going to be created by these huge equipment that's digging up this stuff and processing all this stuff is going to offset any benefit that we could get from it.
It will offset a lot of it.
And then like, what is it, lithium or something?
Lithium, yeah.
You see, it's mostly like 6-year-old kids out there,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Mining lithium and crap. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's just ridiculous, really. To think that we could make that transition, do with or gas and oil. Well, for like those big those big turbines.
Oh yeah,
it takes like 4 or 5 barrels of oil to keep them things running.
Oh yeah, people don't realize.
If there ain't no oil, how in the hell are they going to keep them running? Everything that rotates or runs has got to be greased or oiled or something, right? Periodically.
No, they don't get it, and. Like I said, I'm an EV owner, but that's certainly not why I bought it. You know why I bought it. You've seen it, and you've driven it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's awesome.
But no, it's crazy. I would never call for that. And they don't even consider all those tractors that are out there mining all the stuff for the battery use a ton of oil.
Oh yeah.
To mine it. Like you're not gonna. What are you gonna do? Charge your tractor every 30 minutes?
We got a lot of farming community. This is a farming community down there, and I've had a lot of farmer, customers and all. And I had 2 in here at the same time not too long ago. And we were just discussing this very thing. I says, how big a battery is it going to take to run your combines and your cotton pickers and your corn pickers and all that? I mean,
yeah.
Geez, I mean, yeah. And what are you going to do? How are you going to produce anything in the interim, until they come up? I mean, how long is it going to take them to get where they have batteries sufficient size to run a combine or something like that? It's years off,
Yeah.
And so it's just insane to think that it's just a way to redistribute wealth from the rich countries to the poor countries.
So let me ask you one last question. We'll get off of here. How important do you think it is that every single U.S. citizen, or even citizens from around the world, own gold and silver?
Oh, it's extremely important. And, just ask the French, they've been hoarding gold forever because they've been invaded so many times. And like, if you got gold, you can buy your way out of a situation, or you can buy protection, you can buy whatever you need to survive an otherwise perilous situation. And like, to the extent possible, everybody on the planet should be, reserving some for themselves, because there's only, and when they come to that realization, you talk about price increases in precious metals.
I mean, it's funny that it's only a couple of percentage of people in the entire world that even own any, like gold or silver.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine if every single person on Earth just were to buy 1 or 2 ounces of silver? Oh my goodness, there's not enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly not enough. There might be enough overall ounces, but there's not enough of actual produced coins for them to purchase and hold. It just doesn't
absolutely
exist.
Yeah.
And that's just 1 or 2. Just think.
Well, you mentioned that we're $30 trillion in debt, but there's contingent liabilities that we're liable for, like Medicare, Social Security, mortgage guarantees, and that sort of thing. FDIC insurance, $250,000 deposit, up to $250,000.
And the government continues to spend.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, our contingent liabilities are over $100 trillion.
Wow.
100 trillion.
100 trillion. That's crazy.
I mean, you can't even comprehend that.
I mean, you can't even comprehend 30. I mean, no one thinks about, like, if you were to think about what $30 trillion is, nobody can actually wrap their head around how much money that is. I mean, it's incredible.
It's so many zeros.
I mean, every single, I don't remember what the stats were, but I think right now, like every single citizen in the U.S., including, 1-day-old babies, are in debt for like $60,000 or $70,000 each.
Oh, absolutely,
it's unbelievable.
Absolutely, and there doesn't seem to be.
And they just keep spending $1.2 trillion deficit.
Here's the thing: like, you'd think that the people running the Fed and running the Treasury Department and all that, you'd think they'd be well educated about finance and economics and things like that. But so they're obviously doing all this on purpose, because they got to know better.
Yeah. Maybe they just don't care.
Well, they don't. That's a fact. They don't care. And if you had told me that we'd be living in a time when our elected representatives are actually doing their best to destroy this country, I would say no, it's not possible. But it's what's happening, I'm afraid.
And it's sad to I hate to go on such a sad note.
Oh well, let's talk about it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't, but it may be a sad note, but it's so accurate. It's very scary to think about it, at least for me. And I do my best to be prepared for me and my family.
exactly. Well, that's the thing is to prepare yourself so that you don't have to be dependent on others, and maybe even have something over to share and help others. And
I heard a quote from somebody, and it's always stuck with me. I heard it years ago, but he said, "If someone truly cares about you, they want to help you not to need them."
exactly.
But I don't know. The government really likes to push dependence on the government, doesn't it?
Oh, what can I say? That's they buy your vote, with your own with money that the people work hard to earn.
Oh yeah. So I'll ask you one last, and then we'll call it. In regards to gold and silver spot price, and I'm not talking about premiums, just price in general.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that number is going to get to without just our dollar imploding? What do you think it should be today?
Well, the 3,000-year relationship with 16 ounces of silver by an ounce of gold.
Right.
So if gold's worth 1,800 and divide that by 16, and that's what silver ought to be worth, $112 an ounce.
Right.
Under a historical relationship, it should be $112 an ounce now.
Okay. And it's not.
And it's a lot far cry from that.
But if we ever get to like $1,000 an ounce silver, it's just because our dollar just collapsed.
Well, it's like in economics, there's a thing called Jastrom's theory.
Mm-hmm.
And it says the price of gold doesn't fluctuate. It's level. Currencies fluctuate.
Oh, I mean, we have a fiat currency backed by zero commodities. I mean,
exactly.
They create as much of it as they
well,
want.
The price of gold is it's like I've said this, used this reference 100 times. To look in 1920, you could have took a $20 bill or a $20 gold piece and bought you a nice suit of clothes. You could take a $20 bill to the bank and get you a $20 gold piece, and either one would buy you a nice suit of clothes. Well, fast forward to now, the $20 gold piece is worth like almost $2,000. That'd still buy you a nice suit of clothes.
Yeah, well,
but a $20 bill won't even buy you a tie. I mean, that's about as simple as you can make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think you think like, okay, when the crash came in 29, there was insiders that knew what was coming, and they got rid of their stocks and bonds and stuff and got gold and silver. And so when the worst depression we ever had, if you had gold and silver, you done all right. They was buying stuff back at 10 cents on the dollar, because they could have had the wherewithal to do it. And then in 1980, when inflation went to like 15, 18%, gold went to $850 from like 130, and silver went to 50 from like 2 or 3 within a short period of time, less than 2 years. And so the worst depression we ever had, worst inflation we ever had, if you had gold and silver, you did fine.
I thought we were going to be done, but you brought up another question. So when inflation hit those high numbers in the 80s and gold hit over $800 an ounce, why haven't we seen gold react to the inflation we're seeing this last year?
That's a good question. I guess it's because the central banks around the world, they're all just doing the same thing the Federal Reserve is doing. They're allowing the suppression of metal. For years, they're like who had all the gold? The banks, the government, the official government, and the banks, right? Because they had taken it out of circulation, and it's amazing. The gold the price of gold hadn't been suppressed so much as silver has, but the silver is obviously way undervalued right now compared to.
So even with the premiums, it's a good time to buy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm buying. I don't care. I don't even ask what it costs. If I got extra money, I just call say, send me 500 ounces of silver. I don't even ask what it do. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm getting rid of fiat and buying physical silver and gold. I'm a true silver bull. And gold too, for that matter. But, silver is I tell everybody, silver is a better investment than gold, because silver could easily quadruple in value. Gold's not going to quadruple. It's going to continue to rise. The only time it would quadruple is if the dollar does collapse.
Right. Yeah.
It could.
Yeah.
It might be $10,000 an ounce. That's why, as long as people aren't greedy, like I've been taking care of my regular customers, as long as they're not too greedy, and like, but these, you wouldn't believe how many $10,000, $20,000 sales I've turned down. because they wanted to walk out here out my door with it. And I said, no, it's not going to happen. I said, I can order it for you, and then deliver within a week or two. But no, you can't walk out here with my silver today. I got cash. Well, I don't care. I don't want cash. So, thanks, but no thanks. And if you're not greedy, I'll sell you some. But if you want too much, I'm sorry, you have to go to Amex or Kitco or somebody's else, or CD, Silver Bullion, and buy from them because they're big time. They've always can supply whatever you need, want, if whatever you can afford. And usually in short order, that's where we have to get it, and it's from those guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on again, and we will definitely be back out.
Oh, thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy your podcast very
Anytime.
much.
So it was awesome having Mike on as always, and I will definitely be making my way back down to Cape Girardeau, Missouri to visit River City Coin and Jewelry once again to talk to Mike some more on the channel. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on those future videos. Additionally, I'm going to put a video up here where I called around coin shops and tried to sell them $10,000 worth of gold. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you watch it, and we will see you in the next video.